Hey, does anyone know what these are? These are ND filters, variable ND filters to be exact. Dirty variable ND filters. You use these to darken your image. They're kind of like sunglasses for your camera. And if you're like me, you use these so that your videos aren't completely blown out when you're keeping within those shutter speed rules for video. Now today I wanted to keep it exciting and exhilarating and talk about what even the heck is the friggin' difference between these. There are approximately 200 different kinds of ND filters, variable, fixed, round, square, other kinds, and they all come in a wide variety of prices as well. Like this one was $20, and the one that's currently on the camera was over 10 times that amount. Why? Years ago, when I was initially looking into upgrading from my cheaper filter, I did what any good photographer does. I read a bunch of reviews online, and all roads led me to this, the Nisi True Color Variable ND Filter. And so far it's done a great job. However, I would now like to outfit my B and C cams with these filters as well, and thus have been diving back into the lovely world that is camera gear research, because I don't want to have to spend like $400 just for my other cameras, but maybe that's just what you gotta do. But all this got me thinking, can I cheap out and just get a cheaper filter? It'll save me money that I will, in turn, inevitably spend on other camera gear. So I ended up picking up a middle-of-the-road option so as to test out the differences between the cheap, the middle, and the expensive, to see what all the fuss is about. Where is it? This is like Hermione's bag in Harry Potter. So today we will be testing and comparing the Fatka $20 filter, the Neewer True Color filter, $60, and the Nisi True Color filter, which was $220, which I broke the little nubbin off because I dropped it. As a disclaimer, this is not a scientific video. You won't find any graphs or charts. There are other creators that are much better suited to that. I'm just a guy. So that being said, let's go take some shots and see what the differences look like in the real world. For this content, I'm exposing everything neutrally. The white balance is locked. I'm using my 35mm Sigma, and it's mostly overcast, so we shouldn't have too much changing with the sun. So first up, let's see how general skin tone looks. General skin tone. To my eye, at first glance, everything looks pretty neutral with the Nisi. And then when I compare down to the Fatka and the Neewer, I'm definitely noticing some color casting on the skin tone specifically. For the Fatka, it's definitely more of a like yellowy green cast, and it's a bit more pink with the Neewer. Although with the Neewer, I'm still seeing some differentiation in the color of my hat compared to my skin, which I'm not seeing with the Fatka. It does smear a little more together with the Fatka. Okay, gonna go get some greenery. Let's see how the forest shoots with these. I'm gonna let these play, and then I'll come back and chat after. So a couple of things I wanted to note. Variable ND filters are essentially two polarizer filters mashed together, and when you twist the ring, it affects the angle at which the light is entering the camera. Without another slider, which some variable ND filters do have, there is no way to change the angle without twisting the entire camera around, which is not ideal. So in some of the test shots, you can see the light reflected off the leaves is more muted than in other shots. You may find this less appealing or more appealing depending on your personal feelings, and I won't shame you either way. I felt like with the Neewer, the reduction in contrast almost made a smoother feeling image, and a part of me actually enjoys that. I'm not sure if it looks too unnatural or not. I need to sit with my feelings a little bit first. I noticed it a little in the other lenses, but pretty much every shot with the Neewer, it was more pronounced in comparison. Another big difference is the construction of the lenses. The Nisi feels a little bit thicker, a little bit chunkier, and both the Nisi and Neewer have hard stops at either end, which I think is a must-have. You avoid getting into the black hole territory or the dreaded X pattern. I really like having the hard stops, and having used the Nisi over the past few years, I don't think I could ever go back to using a filter that doesn't have hard stops. I'd just be twisting that thing all day. All in all, I think the Nisi is a clear winner, at least in image consistency. Generally, there really was minimal color shifting from the neutral image, and when compared to the other filters, it just kept more of an overall natural feel to it. It matched pretty much exactly to the neutral image, and I didn't notice any vignetting or loss in sharpness. On the other side of the spectrum, I did notice quite a color shift with the Vodka filter in pretty much every test shot. The image didn't feel any less sharp in any meaningful way in these real world examples, so that wasn't a huge concern. But the skin tone differences compared to the Nisi were quite noticeable. It was almost like I could see a color cast over the entire image. Now, this isn't to say that you can't color correct around certain things, but the Nisi and Neewer were a bit more precise and would save you some time and hassle in coloring after the fact. For $20 though, are we really complaining? It's like when I worked at McDonald's, people would come in and be like, hey, you didn't give me the fastest service for the best quality food and the cheapest price. I'm like, hey, you can pick 1.5 of these things. You can't get it all, you know? Like, this thing darkens the image, and that's what you got it for. This brings me to the last filter, the middle child, the Neewer filter. This performed better than I expected. It had a stronger polarizing effect in my trials than the other filters, but I don't dislike that. And I think that the colors held up better than I expected as well, especially with the landscape shots. The skin tones became a little less appealing, and some color cast was visible, like a little more pinky skin tones. And I do have a little pinky guy, but I don't necessarily want that in my shots. That's why I set up professional lighting for this. But this is about exactly what I expected given the price, which was not too shabby. Once everything is color corrected and graded, everything can look quite similar. So it's not like any of these filters are completely ruining your image unless you're twisting that vodka too far. They can all get you good results, but it seems that the more expensive filters have less work required to get there. So does price make a difference in filter quality? Yeah. Does it make a 10 times price difference justified? Maybe. That's up to you. And thus, I release you back to the internet forums for research. Bye.